Hello and welcome to MOJO TV. I'm Luke Dundon.
And I'm Ashley Boseley. Today we'll be showcasing some of the best student work from a recent Monash Journalism study tour in Cambodia. But first, Will Zwar has been covering the student elections at Caulfield, and after 3 days of voting, we finally have a result. We now go to Will. What's the latest news?
Thanks, Ash. And yes, what an election it has been. After 3 days, a total of 20 hours of campaigning and voting, Aaron Lee of Unite has been elected the Monsu president and will take office in 2017. Lee won the count with over 1,300 votes in front of Reps for You's president Keandra Trickett with just over 900 votes, while Hongzhu Liu of Stand Up received 30. Unite will hold majority of the positions in Monsu in 2017. We now hear from Aaron Lee, member for Unite and 2017 Monsu Caulfield president, about his party and the main changes we'll see next year.
We as a team have been formed with more than 10 different cultural backgrounds. We feel like it's a really good way to represent each culture on campus, since Caulfield is an extremely diverse community. One of the biggest things that we really want to get through is the transparency of the budget process, since a lot of the big complaints against last year's ticket was basically misuse of funds, and obviously that is very important to students. One of the other policies that we want to have is something what you call Have Your Say program. So any student can give us feedback directly through that program, and it will be basically channeled towards Monsu. It will be a clear way to channel your message instead of just complaining and saying, oh, Monsu's not doing this, Monsu's not doing that. So obviously we really want to be the voices of the students for next year.
While these are the policies that the students have voted for, I talked to voters to find out what else they'd like to see in 2017.
More food trucks.
I like to see more kind of food options. The food trucks were good, and there's the greys, but that's kind of limiting it now.
A few more food places to eat.
More affordable food for students, like not just the sushi.
Events for all students that's outside of clubs and things, so that everyone gets equal opportunities to join in.
More social events and activities on a daily basis here.
Probably want to see a bit more student engagement.
Creating a bit more of a sense of unity between clubs.
Yeah, much more events, maybe like around in the greens around here.
More shade for study space, because there's a lot of room outside, a lot of tables, so I think a bit of shade would be nice.
Space for the students to study. More study spaces outside. It's nice to study outside.
A lot more space, and also probably some printers.
Hopefully these promises will be upheld and we will see a better and brighter Caulfield campus next year. You spoke, we listened, now it's up to Monsu to act. Back to you, Luke.
Thanks for that, Will. Cambodian fishermen are concerned about their decreasing catch from the Mekong River. Population growth and dam construction are putting increasing pressure on the resource eaten as a key part of many Cambodians' diets. Sally Hales has more.
The Mekong River is one of the largest rivers in the world. It is an economic lifeblood for much of rural Cambodia, including this island on the river, Koh Chireng. The river provides water and nutrients for crops and fish for food. But erosion, overfishing and dams being built is having significant impacts on the environment and the people who live here.
Cabalco is a village of 700 people located on the island of Koh Chireng in the Karachi province of eastern Cambodia. Village Chief Kiev Malai is clear on how central the river is to this farming community.
វាពិបាកឆ្លើយបន្តិចដែរការកន្លងមកទន្លេមេគង្គអាចឲ្យផលល្អអាកាសធាតុអត់ប្រែប្រួលចំណាំបានពេលវេលាទៀងទាត់
The river water is essential to the community's survival and their economy.
សម្រាប់ពោតនៅកន្លែងនេះវាខែប្រាំងនិយាយខែប្រាំងទៅអាខែប្រាំងគេច្រើនដាំយកតាមធម្មជាតិការដីយើងធ្វើតាមចែកទេសបាទតាមចែកទេសយកទឹកដើម ទឹកសើមបើពេលណាយើងដាំនឹងអត់មានត្រូវភ្លៀងត្រូវអីសោះអាហ្នឹងពោតនឹងបានល្អបាទបើត្រូវភ្លៀងខ្លះរាំងខ្លះស្ងួតខ្លះអាហ្នឹងអត់ល្អទេអាពោតប្រកាសហ្នឹងណាអត់ល្អវិញទេតាមការពិសោធន៍កន្លងមក
The floods from the river bring soil and nutrients to their fields and, like many communities along the Mekong, the villagers eat fish as a significant part of their diet. Villager and corn farmer in Caulfield, Nam, has been fishing since he was 10 years old. Like others who follow the traditional fishing technique, he goes out each evening to set the nets, going back to fetch them in the early morning. While he says he still catches enough to feed his family, Nam is concerned about how the drop in fish numbers will impact his children. The problem is not limited to Caulfield. The World Fish Centre reported Cambodia's overall inland fisheries catch has increased from less than 400,000 tonnes in 2001 to 445,000 tonnes in 2011. But data from the Mekong River Commission and Department of Fisheries suggests that while the overall catch is increasing, individual fishers are catching less. On the Tonle Sap Lake, which is connected to the Mekong, they report a 44% decrease in catch for individual fishers between the 1940s and 1990s, a trend that appears to be continuing. The villagers say illegal fishing practices, including the use of electricity, are contributing to the problem. Another reason may lie upstream. 6 hydropower dams have been constructed along the Mekong in China, and another is being built in Laos. There are at least a further 10 dams planned in the lower Mekong, including in Cambodia. Conservation groups, including the World Wildlife Fund and Oxfam, have expressed concerns about the dams. They say the dams will change soil movement and block fish from migrating to breed. Dim Bin is project manager at Cambodian Rural Development Team, an NGO working with communities such as Caulfield in the Karachi region.
When the dam is built, you know, the flow of the water is not regularly as normally. Sometimes the flooding sometimes slow down, so the fish cannot as normal they live in the river because the water is not regularly flow.
But Mr. Bin says the dams are not the only reason for the change. With Cambodia's increasing population and the impact of climate change on Cambodian rice farming putting further pressure on the river's fish stocks.
You know, they depend on the rice. When the drought happens, the yield slow down. So they decide to go to the river to catch many fish, many times.
Illegal fishing is also reducing fish stocks in areas designated for family fishing.
Because some people, they're fishing for commercial.
The overfishing is posing a threat to native species, including the endangered Irrawaddy dolphins. Mr. Bin says the Cambodian government is now using rangers to patrol dolphin and fish pools. He believes that supporting communities to develop alternative income options to fishing, such as ecotourism and community forestry, could also help.
Especially CRDT can improve livelihood, trying to identify another alternative activity, replace the fishing activity to make the fish is increase them from year to year.
Changing practices could provide a way for fishermen to play a part in preserving one of the most biodiverse rivers on the planet.
3,600 people ran from Sandringham or St Kilda to the boat sheds on the Yarra on Sunday the 11th of September in memory of one young boy who died from a rare brain tumour. As a tribute to Robert Connor Dawes, the RCD Foundation aims to raise money for research and care to other patients with their biggest fundraiser, Connor's Run. I went to check it out. More fun than run in this Melburnian race, Connor's Run sits within the hearts of many who participate.
2, 1,
Named after Robert Connor Dawes, who passed away in April of 2013 with a rare type of brain tumour, the 18.8 or 9.6 kilometre track celebrates his life and raises funds for the RCD Foundation, created by his family with his mother at the forefront.
If we had known the amount of work and how complicated and everything that was involved, we might have been too frightened. So I said, Connor, we should start a foundation together because you're really inspiring. And he was lying there on the sofa and said, I don't feel very inspiring.
Around $1.3 million has been raised by the fun run alone in the 4 years, with close to $650,000 being raised by the competitors this year.
So our first run, I think we wanted 500 people and raised $50,000, but we had 1,000 people and raised $100,000.
After Connor's surgery, he became severely handicapped, losing his short-term memory and his ability to read. Being a keen muso growing up, Una Miller, a close family friend, recommended music therapy to help with Connor's rehabilitation.
It is interesting actually how you can remember a song. You know how you can remember words from songs from a million years ago, but you can't remember other things, and the way they teach, like children sing the alphabet, you can sing it and remember the alphabet much easier than just learning it by speaking it. It's not just something that you come in and you play your guitar and everyone feels good. It has very definite sort of treatment goals and treatment plans.
The foundation pays for 10 sessions of music therapy for patients. They have now helped around 28 people with their rehabilitation. The money raised goes not only towards research into brain tumours, but also into PhD scholarships and youth engagement activities.
One of the first things we did was to fund a PhD student who's just looking at the kind of tumour that Connor had. I cannot tell you how right this feels. This feels exactly like what I should be doing, but I feel like I have to hurry. One of the things with research, it takes a long time, and I'm impatient by nature. There's research happening in this country, but there's a lot of really good research happening outside, in Heidelberg, Germany, in Toronto, Canada, at St. Jude's in Memphis, Tennessee. And it would be great if we could send some of these researchers to those labs.
Ashley Paholic, MOJO TV.
Earlier this week, I investigated rumours of stylish students around the art, architecture and design precinct here at Monash. Here's what I found. Just like any forest, the academic jungle of Monash University plays host to a variety of species. From the jeans and joggers enthusiasts, the colourful campus canaries, and even the masters of monochrome, the campus has become Caulfield's style safari. I'm Luke Dundon, and on this episode of Street Gist, we'll be exploring the home of the hipsters, the art, architecture and design precinct. First up, it takes a fine arts and business student to make a t-shirt and blazer combo work, and that's exactly what Matilda rocks most days.
So my coat is the one that I wear every day from the op shop. $7 at Savers, a steal to be honest.
Her top hails from a Chapel Street op shop, and her necklace, well, that's rather quirky too.
It's made out of lava stone.
After setting the bar rather high with Matilda, we explored a sanctuary for style, the coffee shop. Even at work, barista Sam stood out with his courage to lay a white on white.
Pelvis, long sleeve, support local brands, and a thrifted jacket from Cancun.
A designer himself under his own label, Vane, Sam echoes the Cross River aesthetics of Fitzroy and Brunswick with his cuffed black skinnies and nicely worn connies. Though back on the other side of the coffee counter, we found Lockie. Fresh from the news of an internship offer, his glee is obvious through his slick haircut and shiny shoes. Though it was his knit which piqued our interest.
I got this knit at a market in Queensland, I don't know, it was just cool, it was there, so that was it, the whole thing, and nobody wanted it, so I was like, yep, I'll grab the knit, so.
Along with his classy Daniel Wellington watch, Lockie is the perfect combination of sleek and casual. Lucky last, we have Sarah, a blending of aesthetics that together are uniquely her own.
Yeah, I guess I'm inspired by like Melbourne street style a lot as well, kind of what's going on around me.
A bright yellow Ralph cap from Italy contrasts nicely with the navy sweater and denim overalls, though Sarah's biggest edge is on her feet and her face. Her platform superstars are a knockout, and her dotted eye makeup, well, that's just too cool. That's the wrap on the streets. Reporting for MOJO TV, Luke Dundon.
The Tote Hotel is one of Melbourne's most notable music venues. Does its reputation precede it, or is it really that good? Matthew Andriazza takes a look at our second venue on the menu.
The Tote Hotel has been a cornerstone of live music in Melbourne since it opened in 1980. Tucked away on Collingwood's Johnston Street, it's a short drive or tram ride away from the Melbourne CBD. It's most often associated with Australian rock, but for the most part, the Tote's hosted a wide variety of music from the very beginning. But what's going on at the Tote now?
Any, dare I say, alternative independent type of band really gets a go.
The Tote also has a long history, and it almost closed in 2010 following changes to Victorian liquor licensing laws.
I think, trading on your history and all that kind of nonsense is sort of counterproductive. A venue's really only as good as what it's got coming up this week and next week, and perhaps the week after.
It's an old building, and it was on the brink of death once, but the Tote Hotel is absolutely full of life. Gigs. So many gigs. And thank goodness there are so many gigs, or there wouldn't be much of a reason to go to the Tote Hotel at all.
It's still just like basically a stripped back, high functioning dive bar.
There isn't a lot of room, and there aren't a lot of seats indoors. There's an outdoor area with more seats, but it isn't fully sheltered from bad weather or the sun. The drink selection is enough to cover all bases, but there isn't much variety beyond that. To its credit, there is a pool table, and the newly opened kitchen has a great selection of pub grub with a few unique twists. And despite the venue's small size, the Tote manages to have 3 performance spaces, not all of which are created equal. The band room is a decent enough space with a good stage and a dedicated sound technician to run sound tests. The upstairs stage has an awkward layout and makes large audiences impractical, and the musicians themselves need to work all the technical stuff out. Expect technical difficulties. The front bar is used as the 3rd space. The corner doors are closed and bands set up in front of them, meaning these gigs are always free. Despite its shortcomings, the Tote is the kind of venue that fully supports the Melbourne music scene because of its commitment to live music.
A lot of venues are really keen on sort of cover bands back home, whereas we really wanted to push our original stuff, which is why Melbourne was on the cards.
An attractive scene for the Beggars Way, a punk rocker foursome from across the pond who felt stifled by the attitude of venues in New Zealand.
Moving over here was a great decision, and we've really kind of gotten quite lost in the whole music scene over here.
The Tote Hotel may be a dive bar, but it's one that plays host to a hell of a lot of live music. Whether or not the trade-off is worth it is up to you. Matthew Andriazza, MOJO TV.
Hordes of zombies have descended on Mornington Peninsula this week as hundreds have gathered to take part in the 2nd annual Zombie Apocalypse Run. In this novelty event, people must navigate a 7-kilometre obstacle course while attempting not to get eaten by the living dead. Matilda Boseley reports.
Now, I may be looking a little bit worse for wear, but that's because I've just survived the zombie apocalypse. Here at the Peninsula Obstacle and Racing Course, 500 people, both survivors and zombies, have come to race in the Zombie Apocalypse Run. Runners have to navigate through the 7-kilometre course, climbing high ropes, crawling through smoke-filled tunnels, swimming under barbed wire and wading through waist-high mud, all while being chased by marauding zombies.
So the competitors all have a waist belt with 3 blue tags on them. Each blue tag signifies a life. So the idea is to finish the event with at least 1 blue tag.
While the track started off simply enough, it soon transformed into something straight out of an army boot camp, with dozens of mud-covered participants scaling 3-metre walls, dangling upside down over bogs and crawling through muddy tyres. James Whittaker was one of the main brains behind the day.
We had 430 runners and 75 zombies, and then a whole bunch of volunteers to help out make the day possible.
Has it grown since last year?
Absolutely. I think last year it was less than half, so it's been well received this time, and hopefully we can continue to grow those numbers and possibly do it over a full weekend.
Stables at the centre of the track formed the zombie base, with makeup artists working tirelessly since 7 a.m. to create the 75 zombies scattered around the track. Shay Morgan from Mask Makeup was one of the 4 artists here today.
For the type of makeup we're doing today, it takes about 15-20 minutes. Normally to do a full proper zombie, I'd give about an hour. We're sticking to a pretty simple kind of zombie style today just because we've got so many people to come through. So it's more just like the big kind of open gash look.
Melbourne has had a long-held obsession with the undead. The annual zombie walk attracts thousands every year, and today's run seems to have infected some die-hard zombie fanatics.
We've been to a couple of events.
Yes, we've been to a few zombie events.
Yeah, Apocalypse Now, which was like a rifle zombie kind of live-action thing. And we did the horror movie Camp Out, but this is the first zombie run.
This one's the best.
Yeah.
I've been doing this costume dress up for about 2 years, 2 to 3 years. I've been going to Comic-Con and those type of events. So I've been having the costume ready. The whole sort of zombie apocalypse type thing interests me as well. So.
This run is certainly not for the faint of heart, and much harder than it seems, as I soon found out. I'd say that my chances of survival were about 0. These runs and similar zombie experiences are becoming more popular by the day, with dozens touring different cities around the world as we speak. All in all, it seems like it will be a long while until our obsession with zombies finally re-enters the grave. Matilda Boseley, Mojo News.
That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time.